Well, let's talk to somebody, I guess, from the Russian side. It should be interesting. Former spokesperson to Vladimir Putin, Sergey Markov. Thank you for joining us, Sergey.
Thank you.
What are your feelings about this meeting? Do you think, Sergey, there's a realistic possibility that at some point, either today or in the next few days, that we could reach a ceasefire in Ukraine?
I will say that 3 levels. Peace deal. I think it's impossible. Because main demands of Russia are not territories, but to change regime. Because we believe now this regime is Russophobic, repressive, terroristic, and neo-Nazi. Their project is to make anti-Russia from this former part of the Russia, because Ukraine was part of the Russia during 1,000 years. So Western countries should agree with this. As the British government agree, French government, German government, they disagree about this. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you've gone all sideways now, Sergey. I don't know what you pressed there.
Yeah.
Are we back?
Demands.
Is this working? Okay, you're back in. Let me ask you this before you go on, Sergey. What will? It's okay. It's working. No, he's done it. Okay, just don't touch anything. It's done it again. I was going to ask. Are you there? Are you there?
Demands from the whole world. Okay.
Let me ask you before you carry on, Sergey. Let me ask you this. What will Vladimir Putin demand? What does he want in order for there to be anything like a ceasefire? What are his demands?
Yeah, for the peace deal, Vladimir Putin demands denazification of Ukraine, stopping political repression against Russian language, stopping political repression against Orthodox Church, something like this. But to understand now it's impossible. Ceasefire. If unconditional ceasefire happens, as we understand, your government is going to send 10,000 troops to Ukrainian territory and French government as well, and then to put anti-rocket missile system to Romania and Poland territory, and then after provocation of Zelensky, and in fact it will be a war between Russia on one hand and Great Britain and France on another hand. It's bad solution, bad development. That's why Russian demand for ceasefire, meaning that Great Britain, France, Germany will not send their troops to Ukraine.
Okay.
Then also the armament should not send to Ukrainian army, and also Zelensky should stop violent mobilization. Volunteers can go to Ukrainian army, but violent mobilization, no. This condition for this fight. Realistically, I think they will start from the air truce, meaning embargo on the airstrikes to the big cities like Kyiv and Odessa, which is far from front line. Also, they will start negotiation about conditions of the general ceasefire.
Yeah.
And this will continue by triangle meeting with Zelensky in 1 week or 10 days from now.
Yeah.
And this meeting, I think, will happen with such discussion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a very difficult situation, and I think the chances of any kind of agreement are pretty remote. Sergey, really good to talk to you. Thank you very much for your time. Sergey Markov, their former spokesperson to Vladimir Putin. I think what he was saying was that what the Europeans have been saying, what Zelensky is saying, Zelensky will not cede any territory. And of course, Putin wants territory. And therein lies the standoff, and probably, I think, an impossible standoff. And also, Putin is very worried about the increasing support by the European countries for Ukraine, and this suggestion that if there is some kind of peace, will go in as a peacekeeping force. Putin, massive no-no, that is. Let's now get the other side of the picture. Let's talk to the former Deputy Minister of Justice in the Ukraine, another Sergiy Petukhov. Sergey, thank you for joining us. Well, you heard what Sergey Markov was saying. I mean, the problem here, it seems to me, is, Putin's demands, are basically going to be cessation of territory by Ukraine, possible even total domination of Ukraine by Russia. Ukraine's not going to agree to that. I think that, do you agree with me that both sides are so far apart that the chances of a ceasefire being agreed in Alaska are pretty remote?
Unfortunately, I have to agree. Putin feels that he's winning the war. His troops are moving slowly and taking more of Ukrainian towns and villages day by day. And he also sees that neither Trump nor European allies are willing to sacrifice their own troops in Ukraine. So what he needs right now is some sort of a ceasefire where he can regroup his own troops and rebuild his own economy, while most of the sanctions to be lifted from him, and also to guarantee that Ukraine does not get the military and economic support. And in this way, if he gets a ceasefire like that, the time is going to work for him and not for Ukrainians on the ground. So I think that's what he wants from this meeting. He definitely does not want a peace agreement. He does not trust Trump or European leaders. He does not need to stop the war at this point of time because he feels he's winning. And also he has the support within his own country for that.
Yeah, but that's my feeling. I think, I was going to say deep down, it's not deep down. Putin doesn't particularly want peace. He doesn't particularly want a ceasefire. As you say, if he got a ceasefire on his terms, he could use it to regroup. But he feels he doesn't particularly need a ceasefire, and he's not particularly interested in peace. Ergo, there's something quite performative about this meeting. I do think it's, at least it's good for him to come to the table. I don't think what Donald Trump is doing is completely unconstructive. I think it's quite a good thing. But I think the chances of anything emerging positive from these talks in Alaska are pretty remote. My feeling also is I think Donald Trump, for him, this is a last roll of the dice. When these talks, as they probably will, break down, he will announce to the world, I have done everything I can, I've done my best, that's it, America walks away from the Ukraine war. Do you agree with me?
Well, this is definitely an option, and this can lead to different scenarios. The question is who he's going to blame for the failure. And it seems that he is in a blaming mood. So he's either going to blame Putin for that or Ukrainians, which he has done repeatedly and interchangeably in his previous statements. And based on this, he will either not take any further actions against Russia, blaming Ukraine, or will continue with sanctioning those who buy Russian oil, or maybe come up with other restrictions against Russian businesses and interests around the world. So I think the whole game around those meetings are to convince Trump that it's the Ukrainians who are to blame for the failure of the peace agreement.
What will, on the off chance that some kind of ceasefire could be agreed, what would be Zelensky's terms? What would he need to agree to a ceasefire?
Well, as NATO membership is off the table right now, he will want the security guarantees. He will want someone physically to guarantee the ceasefire agreement. And this would have to be someone on the ground. This would have to be a specific guarantees for the shipment of the arms and military and economic help, something that we don't have right now. So he will say, well, I can agree to that, but we've had this before. After the 2014, we had Minsk agreement and we had OSCE monitoring mission on the ground, and Russians still broke this agreement. So he will say, I will need something more substantial, because otherwise the Russians will continue. So he'll want someone to physically guarantee that
boots on the ground, Sergey. So I mean, arguably a combined European force to enshrine the ceasefire. That's what Zelensky will demand. Well, and I know, Putin will never allow that. So there we have it, a kind of impossible situation.
Well, it is very, again, I mean, you know, sometimes summits not always end up with agreements. And we've seen that, you know, repeatedly. So again, I don't think there's many hopes on both sides of Atlantics on the success of these negotiations. They already been framed as preliminary talks, which is, again, I think, after the conversation with the European allies, has changed the way the Americans see the perspective of these conversations. Again, they might lead to something else, even some sort of, you know, agreement on, for example, ceasefire in the air would definitely benefit the Ukrainian cities and people living in them because they are being bombarded every night. Or some other agreements, you know, partial agreements, again, exchanging the prisoners of war, or more importantly, civilians that are illegally detained and tortured by Russia. Any of those little things would be still important to Ukrainians, and I think that they are worth the effort. If that happens, we will already see a benefit from any of those meetings.
Last question, Sergey. You know, clearly, if we move on from a ceasefire to the vague outside possibility of lasting peace, that will involve Putin's demands for territory. Zelensky, I think, for lasting peace, will have to agree to the cessation, to the ceding Ukraine territory. He's never going to do that, is he?
I mean, look, it's something that requires the referendum, asking the people according to Ukrainian constitution. And as far as I can tell you, this referendum will fail. So, I mean, he physically cannot do that. He is constrained by the Ukrainian constitution and by the will of Ukrainian people. He might agree to de facto freezing of the front lines, but he will never be able to accept de jure legal recognition of the annexation of Ukrainian territories.
I think the sad thing is that the outlook for these talks is pretty bleak. Listen, Sergey, really good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's Sergiy Petukhov, former Deputy Minister of Justice in Ukraine.